India, very, very tough, very, very tough.
So Donald Trump's trade war is well and truly underway. He has spared no one this time, not even India. Some observers had different expectations. They believed that India would be left out because both sides are negotiating a trade agreement. India and the US, they've been talking about a trade deal. Trump himself said this a few days ago. So the hope was that he won't impose tariffs till those talks conclude. But that's not how it played out. Listen to this.
India, very, very tough, very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left, and he's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing.
India is very tough, he said. He called Prime Minister Modi a great friend, but he imposed tariffs nonetheless. They will come into effect on the 9th of April. And what's the rate? 27%. Although Trump's chart, as we just told you, said 26%, the official order of the US government says 27%, and that chart had many such discrepancies. But for the moment, we'll focus on India. What will be the impact of these tariffs on India? How much would it cost the Indian economy? $34 billion. That's the cost. That's almost 1% of India's GDP. $34 billion, 1% of India's GDP, 0.9% to be precise. And which industries and sectors will be hit? We have a list. Electronics worth $14 billion, gems and jewellery worth $9 billion, and automobiles and auto parts. They will be charged a different rate though. Trump has announced a blanket 25% tax on automobiles and auto parts. That's for all countries. So the same 25% rate would apply to India too. This is only for auto exports, 25% tariffs. And auto exports in India's case is not a substantial amount. India does not export a lot of finished automobiles to the US, but it does supply auto parts. And this export is worth $2.2 billion. So broadly, these are the industries that will be hit. Now let's talk about the ones that are safe. Pharmaceuticals, semiconductors and copper, steel and energy products. All these have been spared from the new Trump tariff regime. And what is India's response? The Commerce Ministry has issued a statement. It said New Delhi is, and I'm quoting, carefully examining the tariffs. It plans to take feedback from the industry. There is one line that stands out in the statement. Let me quote. The department is also studying the opportunities that may arise due to this new development. Now, the use of the word opportunities is interesting. How can India benefit from Trump's trade war? Is there a silver lining? Experts say there is. Look around the region. Other players have been slapped with far steeper tariffs, like China. Effectively, Chinese products will face 54% tariffs. That's the highest among all US trade partners. Vietnam comes next with 46% tariffs overall. Then you have Bangladesh at 37%. For India, the tariff is 27%. It's still a blow, but it could have been worse. And this gap between India and its neighbors may work in India's favor, specifically in 3 high-value industries: textiles, electronics, and machinery. Experts say that Trump's tariffs can open new doors for India. One example they give is that of Taiwan. It's the world leader in semiconductor supply, but if the supply chains shift from Taiwan, and if India emerges as an alternative, if it replaces Taiwan even partially, it would be a boost for India's economy. All of these are big ifs, but there's a possibility. New Delhi can start with some low-hanging fruits, stuff like packaging, testing, and low-end chip manufacturing. So that's one scenario, to harness the impending supply disruption. Similarly, India has opportunities in areas like machinery and toys. China currently dominates this space, but with tariffs as high as 54%, businesses will look elsewhere to make their goods. to cut costs and maintain their bottom line. So India is in a strong position, but to leverage this, India must reform. India must position itself to win new businesses. It must make structural reforms and offer compelling incentives to invite businesses. This includes building infrastructure and strengthening the logistics network. There's a lot of work to do. Trump's tariffs could push India towards making these changes. At the same time, India will have to manage Trump's unpredictability. Which brings us to the trade deal. The US wants India to make sweeping concessions. It wants India to reduce tariffs across the board, from energy to defense and even agriculture. Now, if India agrees to American terms, it could still evade the tariffs. But the price for this would be steep. If you lower the barriers on American goods, Indian manufacturers could lose out. If tariffs on farm products are reduced, Indian farmers would protest. And this is tricky, both economically and politically. So New Delhi will have to strike a tough balance.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
No, I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.